Hello, my name is Kari Banta, and I'm the Program Manager for Section 5304. I'd like to talk about the Regional Coordination Performance Metrics reported by TTI from 2018 to 2020. This was the first time PTN collected performance metrics, and we learned some interesting things in the process. First off, I'd like to talk about why we collect the data. Like so many other things, it's a federal requirement. Since 2016, the FTA requires for planning grants to be performance-driven and outcome-based. Also, we want to know how things are going. It's a chance for us to see what regions have developed promising practices, as well as opportunities for training and other technical assistance. For example, we use these metrics to invite lead agencies to talk about what they've been doing for the conference. And it's also a factor in determining continuation funding between 5-year plan updates. In 2016, a committee of lead agencies and PTN staff determined to use collaboration, resolution of unmet needs, gaps, and inefficiencies, and newly identified needs, gaps, and inefficiencies as the performance metrics. So looking at collaboration, there are 3 components: active formal partnerships, how many agencies or individuals received information on how to participate in the planning process, and how many actively participate. So the definition of an active partnership that is used for the performance metrics refers to a specific kind of relationship. So it's one that is documented in writing and involves a formal commitment between the partners of some form of resources to achieve a specific project or objective. And in this case, looking at the numbers, in 2020, we had 19 of the 23 reporting regions had at least one active formal partnership. 8 had over 10, and the highest number was 30. The trend over time from 2018 to 2020, the overall number of partnerships decreased across the state. 9 regions had a significant, which is greater than 50% decline in the number of partnerships from 2018 to 2020. And looking at that, only 1 lead agency reported 0 partners in 2018. So this data looks at who received information during the reporting period, specifically on how to participate in the regional transportation planning process or related planning activities. In 2020, 21 of the 23 regions had at least 3 individuals or organizations. 8 regions had 30 or more, and the highest number was 131. The trend over time for this was the average number of organizations or individuals receiving information increased by 128%. And 10 of the regions had a significant, that is greater than 30% rise in the number receiving information over the time frame. So active participation is defined as regular ongoing participation. And this could be in a lot of different ways, through meetings, committee participation, emails, phone calls, or other assistance. The most common method of participating in the plan is by way of joining a committee or a task force. Other methods include promoting goals or strategies and regularly providing feedback for planning and implementation. So looking at the numbers, in 2020, 22 of the 23 reporting regions had at least 3 individuals or organizations actively participating. 10 regions had 20 or more, and the highest number was 75. The trend over time was that the average number of active participants increased by 45%, and 6 of the regions had significant rise in the number of active participants by greater than 30%. Next, we'll look at the resolution of unmet transportation needs, gaps, and inefficiencies. This looks at the first 2 phases from working the plan, which is moving from planning to implementation and fully achieving strategies, goals, and objectives. Now, moving from planning to implementation, we're not expecting these numbers to follow a linear trend because the number of strategies or objectives left to implement changes over the span of the plan, and some are dependent on others. So for this one, we're just going to be looking at the raw numbers. So in 2020, 18 of the 23 reporting regions had at least one strategy, goal, or objective moved to implementation. 5 regions had 11 or more, and the highest number was 37. The trend over time was that from the beginning to the end, the agency total average that moved to implementation was 18, and the median total was 13. So looking at fully achieved strategies, goals, and objectives, these are also not expected to follow a linear trend. So in 2020, 13 of the 23 reporting regions completed at least one. And in the trend over time, the number of agencies who completed at least one increased over time. The average total per agency was 6.5, and the median was 3. So the last factor are the new unmet transportation needs, gaps, and inefficiencies. And there are 2 kinds of these. One is just a newly identified unmet need, gap, or inefficiency, and then ones that have identified along with specific corresponding steps for resolution. So in 2020, 11 of the 23 reporting regions identified at least one unmet transportation need, gap, or inefficiency. And the trend over time is that over the span, 17 agencies identified at least one. The average total per agency was 6, and the median was 2. So looking over 3 years of performance metrics, what the numbers show us is that collaboration is the key to performance. If an agency had no partners in a particular year, it didn't achieve goals or identify any gaps. The concern is that there was a decrease in the total number of partnerships during the measurement time period. More agencies decreased in number of partnerships from 2018 to 2020 than increased. So looking at this, improved collaboration will be important for the current 5-year planning process. Moving ahead, TTI will be looking at ways that we can improve the kinds of information reported and how we collect it. One thing we noticed is that we need to keep track of the total number of goals, strategies, or objectives that were in a plan. Depending on the way the plans were developed, some agencies had more goals. This means that we can't compare performance across agencies as well. So TTI will be reaching out to all of the lead agencies in the early spring to participate in focus groups. We want to make this a more accurate and easier process for everyone. So if you want to see the performance metrics, if you go to regionalserviceplanning.org, which is the website for the planning program, you can download the TTI report, a copy of the survey used to obtain the data, and the progress status sheets for each region. The website has a lot of other good information too. I recommend having a look, especially at the forums. They're designed for lead agencies to be able to communicate with peers about all kinds of topics. That's the end of the presentation. Thank you.